Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the very first video that's actually going to be talking about something on this channel. Since everyone that is currently subscribed is someone who knows me in real life, hi, hello, how are you? I've been hyping this up for a while, and now here we are. So, for this first video, I've been talking to a lot of people. This all started with a post on my private Facebook because I was, I guess, very loosely targeted by one of these self-proclaimed maps on Twitter. And with that, I figured a lot of people didn't know what a map is. And I was right. I've been getting asked by some people in my life, what is a map? And so here we are. Today I'm going to learn you a thing that I wish didn't exist, but it does. So here we are. So, maps. What are they? It's a big thing mostly on Twitter and Tumblr, and I've seen it kind of bleeding more into Instagram more. Ready to Glare just made a video yesterday. I will link that into the description. I will have a lot of videos linked in the description if you want some more knowledge about this. But Ready to Glare did a video about a map on Instagram yesterday, so now it's getting over there and I'm disappointed in reality. I'm disappointed in reality for a lot of reasons. But anyway, what is a map? So MAP stands for Minor Attracted Person. Another hashtag you'll see around with the whole map thing is no map, which would be a no contact map or minor attracted person. So someone who doesn't talk to, minors. So there's also pro contact. And then another thing that you'll see is map positivity. And basically, So you're probably thinking, minor attracted person means pedophile, right? Well, yes, you are right. Good for you. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a gold star of approval. Basically, pedophiles have adopted the title or name or acronym, whatever you want to call it, MAP, as kind of like a good PR. I've seen it called by Shoe on Head. She was pretty good. Yeah, so it's basically good PR for pedophiles. Now, you'd be thinking, why would we want to give good PR to pedophiles? Well, we don't. So, gonna talk about that a little bit more. So, what is the point for someone who identifies as a MAP to use the term map? Well, by using this good PR and changing this a bit, it normalizes the attraction to literal children. You'll see a lot on Twitter and elsewhere on the internet that we need to normalize it because it is a perfectly normal thing to be attracted to people and they can't control it. And so by normalizing it, that's a good thing. And then these people aren't getting killed, this and that. And I'll get to this a little bit later, but no, we should not normalize this. This is a crime. It is, children can't consent. They just can't. That's why we have ages of consent, even though some of them are entirely too low because the human brain isn't fully formed and functioning until you're 25 years of age. But anyway, I digress. That's not in my notes. So basically, MAP is an umbrella term that covers all the individuals with taboo attractions to children from actual infancy to young teenagers. They will say that they have an age of attraction. Again, using Ready to Glare's video yesterday as an example, the map that she talked about, her age of attraction was from 2 years old to 12, and said the younger, the better. Just let that sink in. Marinate in that a little bit. And throughout the video, I'm going to be putting up some tweets that I found on the worst side of Twitter for research for this video that just showcase, like, the wanted normalization and just the lunacy of all of it from these self-proclaimed maps. Sorry, I'm dying. So these self-proclaimed maps like to say that their attraction is a sexual identity or a sexuality, which is not true, because basically, I think, again, I don't remember if this is Creepshow Art or Ready to Glare or both of them that have talked about this, but for it to be a sexual identity or a sexuality, it would require you to be able to live, like, get married, like, as a hypothetical end goal. It'd be like to get married and live happily ever after for the rest of your lives. Well, if your age of attraction is, let's say, 7 to 12, then what happens when they grow up? Like, you're not going to want to offend against them. I'm trying to not use a lot of awful words. You're not going to want to be with them once they're no longer ages 7 to 12. So you can't, it's not that. So also, a lot of these self-proclaimed maps will use the APA, American Psychology Association. I think that's what it is. I'm a psychology major. I should know this. But they'll use the APA to kind of defend them calling it a sexual identity, despite these types of attractions not actually being recognized by the APA. I'll touch on this a little bit. I'll touch on more of, like, the psychological standpoints of this too, but if you want a video that goes very in-depth about this, Mental Health Master, my boy Quentin, he has a really good video about, like, the mental health side and, like, mentality of maps and pedophilia and all that, and using the APA and all that. It's a very good video. It'll be linked in the description. So, again, just to reiterate my point a little bit better, actually following my notes, it is not a sexuality because it is not just predatory in nature, because, again, children cannot consent, but because maps often have this age of attraction. So, again, so I feel like I made these notes to keep on task, and I'm vaguely following them, but I'm still not on task. Either way, so some maps may meet the standards for paraphilic disorders if we're going back to the psychology part of it all. So paraphilic disorder is defined by the APA in the DSM-5 as deviant patterns of sexual interest, fantasies, and behaviors. This DSM-5 wanted to destigmatize and make a distinction between those with paraphilia, which is just the preferential sexual interests and behaviors, and paraphilia disorders, which can cause distress, impairment, or cause harm to others. So again, for a deeper dive into this, go to Mental Health Master, link in the description. It is an excellent video, and a lot of my research came from him, or at least he was a lot of my starting point. So, again, basically to kind of break it down into layman's terms, because not everyone, psychology nerds like me. So, basically, the APA wanted to destigmatize this because unless you are offending, there's no crime being committed. And I will talk a little bit more about stigma kind of at the end and my thoughts on it, because this is a very not black and white issue that we... anyway, I'll get into it later in the video. So, yeah. So, on Twitter, a lot of these maps will claim to be teenagers themselves with very, very alarming ages of attraction. Again, just the one that Ready to Glare mentioned, 2 to 12. That is, some are attracted to literal babies, like infants, newborn children. It is insane. It is thought that some of these maps that are quote-unquote teenagers could definitely be adults trying to appear more approachable, just to kind of lure people in to not necessarily offend, but to have contact, which is a whole thing. Again, this is just speculation, though, so a lot of them could be actual teenagers. There are cases where teenagers have reported pedophilic or paraphilic tendencies and urges and stuff in their teenage years. Yeah. So, again, the term map is attempting to normalize some very dangerous behavior, and it uses people's empathy against them. Again, Shoe on Head had some good videos about maps. Same with Creepshow Art, who I've already mentioned, and I will link their videos in the description below because they got some great videos on this. But, so, one of my biggest problems with the map community, if you want to call that, is that they use the argument of wanting to destigmatize pedophilic tendencies and attractions not to promote treatment and the well-being of people with this paraphilia, but to normalize it in a way that encourages non-consensual relationships with children. Like, one of the biggest examples that I could think of is that I actually saw on Mental Health Master's Twitter, at Quentin Clausen. It's not really easy to find anymore, but I'll just kind of detail what I read there, because it led me to a Tumblr post, and it was about this self-proclaimed map who I believe was in his 40s, talking with a 10-year-old through Tumblr, having like basically an online relationship with her, which led her to being depressed and harassed by people because she didn't know any better because she was 10 years old. A literal child who wouldn't know any better. It's not her job to know that. But she was being harassed, and she was just so upset by this that she tried to kill herself. She is a 10-year-old little baby child who shouldn't be worrying about that. But, like, and again, this online relationship, there was no exchanging of any lewd images. I don't think there was any, like, sexual talk. So, again, technically, this would fall under that nothing was done. But this is also someone who was a self-proclaimed no-contact map in contact with a child claiming to be in a relationship with them. So, like, that's one of the most dangerous things about normalizing this, I feel like, because there is a lot of gray area, because this person could not be charged with anything just for talking to a 10-year-old online. And that bothers me because this poor girl has all of this trauma now and all of this stuff to deal with that she's going to be dealing with for such a long time, just because this one person decided, I can't get in trouble from this, so I'm going to do it anyway, even though I'm for no contact. So, just also, fun fact, that person who was in this online relationship with this 10-year-old is the person that threatened me on Twitter, so, like, that's cool. Life is weird, especially right now. But another big thing with it is, since they're not promoting the treatment, they're just promoting normalizing it so that way they can talk to children, even if it doesn't fully get their rocks off, I guess. Like, they'll claim that there are no treatments available and that therapy doesn't work, but right now there is. someone, Dr. Paul Fedorov, who is treating, and I will say right now, quote unquote, curing MAPS by retraining the brain, and it has been proven to work. Right now, the treatment isn't widely available because they're in the phases of proving the reliability and validity of it, which any psychological treatment has to go through. But if it's proven, then we will have a proper treatment for pedophilia, because it is shown through brain scans that there is a change in the gray matter, I believe, in the brain. That is linked in those brain scans with pedophilic tendencies. And this treatment is changing that and fixing that. I don't know if I want to use the word fixing, but it's changing that of the brain. And again, this is just me remembering what I saw in other videos and stuff that I've read online. But for more in-depth about this, go to Mental Health Masters video linked in the description. But there are MAPS that know about this treatment and choose to ignore it. And even on top of that, even without this treatment, talk therapy is very beneficial because, again, there are MAPS or pedophiles, whatever you want to call them, out there that definitely do not want to have any kind of relationship with children, that do not want to offend. It is one of their biggest fears that they will, and they live every day hating themselves. And some of them who have gone to therapy have talked about how much it helps them just to talk about it and get it out. And that's what therapy is for. So, it's very beneficial. And if anyone comes to say that they are a MAP, it should be encouraged. And so basically, my point in all of this is that evidence suggests that we should support treatment of this, not normalization. To kind of clarify on that, a lot of the whole MAP positivity thing is to get rid of the stigma with it. And I agree with that to a point. We should destigmatize it so people aren't afraid to go to therapy and talk about it and get their feelings out and become okay with themselves. But we should not normalize it. The difference between that is if you get rid of, kind of like with suicide or harming yourself. If you cut yourself, is the example I'm going to use, I guess. There is such a stigma around it that you were crazy and that you were this awful person and that it was taboo. You didn't talk about it. So a lot of people would cut themselves and not get any help for it. Or depression. When I transferred high schools, I was told by family members not to talk about my depression because there's such a stigma around it, and I wouldn't make any friends, and I wouldn't be able to do this thing, or I wouldn't be able to live a normal life. So I can get behind wanting to get rid of the stigma, as it can be very dangerous to even talk about being attracted to minors, even if they are ashamed of themselves and desperately don't want to act on it. And I can sympathize with that, and I do want these people to get help, because it's those completely ignoring treatment, making excuses, and people who want to normalize it to the point of wanting to make pedophilia legal. Yes, that is a thing. That makes me so angry about this, because, with everything, it's not black and white. And I think, just bottom line, end of the day, if you're going to take anything from this video, because I've been trying to do this myself, because I, for the longest time, was like, no, you need to jump on this person. They are evil. They need to be shunned off of the internet. But I was talking with my boyfriend about it, and he was like, no, you should support treatment of it because these people do need help. And I was like, fuck, you're right. So I think the biggest takeaway is to support the destigmatizing of it, support treatment support therapy. If you see these people on Twitter, say, hey, I see you, I recognize you, go to therapy. It will help you, I promise. Don't send them death threats. Don't try to dox them. Unless, and this is a very big unless they are promoting normalization to the point where it should be legal, promoting the legalization of paraphilia, pedophilia, promoting talking to minors in a sexual or a romantic way, anything like that. Like, just bottom line, stop it. Get some help. Anyway, this has been my video about maps. I will probably talk about them more in the future. If you have any more questions, send them into the comments down below. Leave a like if this video was informational to you, insightful, taught you something new, or if you just liked it. Subscribe for more videos by me. I will be talking mostly about like these taboo things like the patriarchy and maps and rape culture and, you know, things like this. I'm currently working on a series of videos about Onision because I feel like his offenses fall under the umbrella of things that I want to cover. If you have any suggestions, again, you can put them into the comments down below, or you can send me an email about anything at all at itstartedwithemilydoe@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.